All right, here's your problem. All right, the top is not the part that you need to concern yourself with. It's the bottom that causes critical points. So you need to factor the bottom. Okay. The top part is actually where it helps drive where you find the y-intercept. All right, but this is just asking, where is x greater than 0? So in other words, where is it above the line? I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So I have factored the bottom. And then I said each one equal to 0. And I get x equals -1, x equals 1. So now we can go through and graph this thing and look at it. We can. Or we can test it. Okay. And what I'm looking for is when it's greater than 0, that means I'm looking for where the graph is above this line. And what is this line? Well, the line itself is that. It's part of the quadrant. It's part of the coordinate, the Cartesian graph. That's it. I'll get it out. But we don't care about the y-axis. That's the reason why we can just put the number line. Is the reason. So by doing the test method, I need something around my critical points or the x-intercepts. So I need something to the left. So I see what? -2. I need something between -1 and 1. So I see 0. And I need something to the right of 1, which I see is 2. So I'm going to test this. And I'm going to plug in these numbers. But here's the part that really bothers students. I don't care the answer. I just care if it is positive or negative. Because if it's positive, it's telling me I'm up here. If it's negative, I'm down here. That's what it's telling me. So I want to go through and test this and using my test points. So my first test point is going to be -2. Well, on the top, if I plug in -2, anything squared comes out positive. So, I mean, it doesn't affect the top. So I plug in the bottom. And if I plug in -2 here, -2 plus 1 gives me a negative. And a -2 minus 1 gives me a negative. And a negative times a negative gives me a positive. Positive over a positive is a positive. So that tells me up until this point, I'm somewhere up here. So from -infinity to -1, that's what this test is telling me. From this -1 heading that way, I am above the graph. I am above the x-axis. So when I test it with 0 again, I'm buying myself some room. I plug in 0, I end up with 0 minus 5 squared, which is positive, because the negative squared is positive. If I plug in 0 squared minus 1, well, 0 squared is 0, minus 1 gives me a negative. A positive over a negative is a negative. So here, between -1 and 1, I am down here. Again, I don't care about the shape of the graph. I just want to know where the graph is greater than 0 or above the x-axis. So I'm going to do it again now, my next test point, so I know what's happening from here on. So if I plug in 2, I get 2 minus 5 squared. Again, anything squared is going to be positive. And 2 squared minus 1, well, that would be 4 minus 1, which is positive. And a positive over positive is positive, which means I'm up here somewhere. So it's telling me that I am greater than 0 from -infinity. No. From -infinity to -1. And from 1 to infinity. All right. But yeah, we can actually solve it. You could plug it into your calculator, but all you're really looking for is whether it's negative or positive, your answers, because if it's negative, again, it's below that x-axis. If it's positive, it's above the x-axis. That is what this portion is asking. Where is it above the x-axis? All right. Hopefully this is your 5.5 question that you sent me. I guess it's number 11, section 5.5. All right.